I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. All right, what's up, world? Welcome back to I Mix What I Like right here on Black Power Media. Again, I'm Jared Ball, happy to be your host. And as promised, we're going to get into a discussion this morning with the co-authors of Justifiable Police Homicide and the Ruse of American Justice. Deshaun Harrison, Joy James, and Samaria Rice. As it says here at the top, Tamir Rice was one of several names that made international headlines in 2014. He was a 12-year-old black boy murdered by Cleveland police within seconds of their arrival at Cudell Recreational Center. His mother, Samaria Rice, has since worked long, hard, and tirelessly to get some inkling of justice for her son. As a part of that work, she has been challenging the U.S. Department of Justice on its 2020 decision to close the civil rights investigation into the murder of Tamir Rice by former Cleveland Police Department officer Timothy Loehmann. Here, Samaria Rice, Deshaun Harrison, and Joy James offer three separate responses to the DOJ's refusal to convene a grand jury for the prosecution of Timothy Loehmann. While these letters are broken into sections, they are each in conversation with one another. All three of the writers critique legalism, legal studies, and discuss the anti-Black violence of the state. So to that end, for a discussion of what they wrote, we are now welcoming the three authors, Deshaun Harrison, Dr. Joy James, who, of course, is not unknown to these airwaves, and Samaria Rice, whose device needs to be reconnected. So sorry about that, everyone. And Ms. Rice, if you can hear me and can try to reconnect, please do. Dr. James, are you here? Are you intending not to be on camera? Just checking to make sure you're all set. And good morning.
Good morning. It's early morning. Yes, I'm intending not to be on camera, and that you're going to be grateful for that. But it's great to see both of y'all beautiful faces.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you again for joining us. And Deshaun, welcome back to you, or welcome to you. I think the first time you've been on this platform, but the second time we've met, it's a pleasure to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Likewise, thank you for having me.
So, Deshaun, why don't we start with you, if that's all right? And let's talk a little bit about the decision and your contribution, I guess subtitled here, Overview and Analysis, the Limitations of Legalism in an Anti-Black World. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so it was important for us all to have this part of the essay included, because I think that, one, it gives detail to what exactly Samaria's battle has been with the DOJ, but also provides a bit of a political analysis around the fact that there is no justice for Black folks in the U.S., right? And I think it's important to call justice in America a ruse, because so many people are oftentimes fighting for some sort of justice from police, or through through protest, or through writing and other things, trying to find some inkling of justice for our lost loved ones, right? But I think that there is something important about naming that there is no justice for Black folks, and therefore calling attention to the limitations of legalism and legal studies and critical race theory, for that matter, because I think that there is something in recent months that we've been witnessing a lot of, where a lot of people are putting a lot of hope into these ideas that continue to prove that for as long as America is built on its anti-Black principles, it cannot be something that provides us any sort of safety. And I think that that's gotten lost in translation over the last few months. So that was the important part for me.
Yeah, no, I also know that you, in your piece, include reference to a statement of at least 50 notable legal scholars and
Right.
attorneys who submitted a letter to the DOJ saying, well, what is it that they say? What is their point?
Yeah, so they essentially wrote a letter to the DOJ providing examples of various cases that used that statute or that law that the DOJ was arguing could not be used to bring up charges against former Officer Loehmann. They wrote that letter with examples showing how exactly how much that was possible. But then they offer in the end that essentially the DOJ's choice to not bring up charges against Loehmann under this statute is just an example of them not like considering Black life as something that's important or something that is deserving of that sort of care. That was the gist of their entire letter. It was a long letter of them just providing different examples after they give overview as well of Tamir's case.
You cite them, just the excerpt you include here. It says curing a defective state process, in this case one that appears to have been impermissibly slanted to protect local white law enforcement officials from accountability in the shooting death of a young Black child, is consistent with the fundamental purpose of the federal civil rights laws and squarely within the mandate of the DOJ. Only an uncorrupted, fairly administered federal grand jury process can ensure justice and restore public confidence in the rule of law, both of which have been substantially diminished by the actions of local officials and police officers in this case, end quote. So they're saying that the DOJ does have cause to step in and overturn, I guess, itself.
Right.
In deciding to not, and the DOJ is steadfastly saying no.
Right.
Is essentially, okay. Dr. James, all of you, obviously, please jump in and say what you like, but I note that all three of you make mention of the fact that Kristen Clark is a Black woman, which on some level, some, I guess, still would want to assume means some other form of or pattern of behavior. Could you talk a little bit about what her race and gender does or does not say about the state and its response?
Right. I think the most interesting thing would be if she were to speak to those issues, right? What does it mean to be a Black woman working for the state, to have institutional power, but only to the extent that you follow, the dictates and the guidelines set by the state, which is, as Deshaun is pointing out, its origins, right, come out of a genocide and enslavement, right, as a matrix. And then it incubates, and then it does some renovations that are really important, or we wouldn't be speaking today. But they're not renovations in terms of the use of law as a predatory process. I mean, I don't know why George Jackson's always popping up in my brain, but he does that, right? So, one of the things he says, I believe it's in Soledad Brother, is that the definition of fascism is law or law is fascism. And I've said before, like when I first heard that, because, I like to think I'm law-abiding, I was like, oh, really? But if the state's intent has never been to have a free mass, right? And if it's always been engineering racial deception and racial accumulation in terms of extraction through violence, there's no way that law would be separate from that and pristine. So, I think of Christine Clark, I think of Loretta Lynch. So Loretta Lynch, right, in New York City, I mean, she kind of makes her name as like, I care about the communities and people around Lou Weimer Abner's case, which is just horrific. It's not only that police will, kill you, but they also, will sodomize you in a precinct, right? And so when I first see that, it's like, okay, this is somebody who's aligned with the needs of the community and aligned with the struggle against white supremacy. But then by the time she's promoted to Attorney General, taking over from Eric Holder, right? It's only a day or two before Freddie Gray is killed in police custody. And these rebellions started in Baltimore. And the first words that come out of her mouth echo those of the POTUS of 44, also known as President, Barack Obama. It's like those thugs in the street.
Right.
So it's how to say it. I mean, you're in the community, you celebrate Martin Luther King Day. I'm sure you go around giving speeches on that day and other days. It's like the new police commissioner, and I don't know her, in New York City, right? Being sworn in front of a mural, unless somebody like Photoshop something that has all these Black iconic people on it. Malcolm's up on the mural, and like, so the new head of the NYPD, just because she's a Black woman, is going to somehow depart from the centuries old mechanism of what policing is supposed to be in relationship to Black working class and poor bodies. And maybe, when I think about it more, maybe it's kind of a wish that we want to see fulfilled. And I hope Miss Rice, can participate, because I mean that last part of the statement is powerful. And we wrote the statements independent of each other. So we were just sort of chiming in, like in adjusting our notes, right? Or chorus, until I think we're going in the same direction, but with different emphases, right? So I would say Black feminism is important. And I am a Black feminist, but I've also said I'm a captive maternal. So like, it depends on the day. But to the extent that you think that Black feminism is inherently progressive or committed, that seems to be kind of agreeing to the illusion of the democracy.
Yeah, and in fact, you begin at least the final paragraph of your contribution by saying neither the killings nor injustices surrounding Tamir Rice, Mekhi Bryant, or Leadon Boykins are murders are aberrations. And you connect some of the dots between Tamir's killing and the killing of other 12 and 14-year-old, 16-year-old children, and say they're not aberrations. I don't know if Miss Rice is yet connected, but I will at least, to Dr. James, your point. I mean, I mean, my initial thoughts, and Deshaun, and you can jump in. And when I read it, this is only what a Black woman, mother of a murdered child, could say. I mean, this is when she's writing directly to Kristen Clark and describing their initial meeting, and then raising this question that I mentioned earlier. And let me give a moment and see if we can get her to come on. But Deshaun, let me ask you about this, because, and Dr. James, both of you, but the issue she raises, that is Miss Rice raises, I was asking earlier, and I don't know if either of you can speak to this in terms of the law or whatever else, but when Miss Rice says that, Miss Clark, you said you don't know what Loehmann was thinking in his mind that day, as if this is the legal justification for why the DOJ cannot step in.
Right.
And I'm raising the question: the moment you pull the gun and point it at somebody, isn't that the moment where you're thinking what that's demonstrating your intent? Because I mean, you're not drawing the gun to say, "Hey, I hope you have a nice, safe afternoon and get home peacefully." That action doesn't comport, I would think, with what the intent would be. So anyway, can you, in terms of this decision or the response and this question of understanding the intent, can you add any, I don't know, do you have any thoughts or anything you can?
Yeah,
maybe
I mean,
not. I don't know.
I just think that like that was something that held me up for a while too, because I'm like, I don't know anyone who draws a gun with the intent of, like you said, being nice. Like that's not something that people typically do. But
I like your shirt.
Right. Like,
Your hair looks good today. I mean,
right. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But what the letter from Kristen Clark says is that they have to be able to prove without a shadow of a doubt or something with that language that was his intentions. And I'm like, if the law makes clear that you have to be able to prove what someone's thinking, and you can't prove what someone's thinking unless they tell us, right? Then what is the purpose of this law? Like, how is it going to benefit any of us? Because we can't prove that. But yeah, that's what the letter names, is that essentially a lawyer has to be able to prove what he's thinking when he's drawing his gun. And that's why I love what Samaria writes there, because it's like, yeah, like, you deserve to get in our neck about this, because it's very clear that she offered you something that she couldn't promise, that she couldn't actually stick to. And in the end, she ended up doing the exact same thing that everyone else has done to Miss Rice.
yeah, I mean, and go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And also, she writes that they had the gun was in the lab. I mean, it wasn't like we got out of the car and then who's the we right here. But anyway, it's not like the police got out of the car and drew the gun. I mean, the preparatory act was just to have it sitting there so you could just open the door and immediately start. You're not like, hands up, who are you? Put the plastic toy down. There's not going to be any mediation here. There's not going to be any bridge to a humanity, because we don't see a humanity. There's just going to be a weapon and an execution. And so the logic of it would suggest intent. And also, if he got fired, the violation of just basic police protocol. But it reminds me of also, we've talked about this, the anniversary was in 2021, the 70th year anniversary of We Charge Genocide. You have to prove intent. You always have to prove intent. Like, you have to get like some recording in somebody's mind that, literally is going to confess to a crime.
Yeah.
When criminality against Black people is just baked into the culture. So I think one of the powerful things also that Samaria Rice does is that she strips through this whole, like, I want to grow up, be like you moment. I don't want to denigrate Black girl magic or anything like that, right? Because like, we all should deal with the sexism and misogyny arrayed against Black women. But the role models that are popping up are expressions of state power. And the state itself is capitalist, white supremacist, patriarchal, and imperialist. So that's like couple of descriptors there. So if your notion of being a powerful Black woman, or a girl who wants to be like a powerful Black woman, is going to look like, prosecutors and police chiefs, then that's a normalization of violence, right? That's just, you can't pretend that it's only one gender now, even though, like, yes, the guys dominate in certain zones. But it's in terms of being an employee of the state. Like, I've seen, my students have sent me advertisements from the CIA celebrating Black lesbians who are joining. I don't know if they're probably actors, maybe, but the CIA is messaging, the state is messaging, we're equal opportunity for violators. We don't care your gender, your orientation, your ethnicity, your color, as long as you're willing to work for the state and also follow its violent programming, we're good with you. And so that bubble of acceptance is cracked in that third part of the Scalawag essay.
Yeah. I also want to just add really quickly that I think that some of the violence happens even before the officers arrive. Some of the intent happens even before the officers arrive, right? Because the dispatcher was told that Tamir was likely a juvenile, and that the gun was likely a toy, and none of that was relayed to the officers. And I think that just continues to prove that there's this break in structure in general, that seeks to criminalize and kill Black folks, Black children in particular, simply because they are, right? Simply because they are Black children. Like the caller named that to the dispatcher several times over, and that never made it to the police officers. And then they arrive on scene, like Dr. or like Joy James points out, they arrive on scene with the gun on their lap.
She writes it here. Ms. Rice has it here. You name that there's no proof that Loehmann acted willfully, but Loehmann had his gun sitting on his lap as Garmack pulled their police car just a few feet in front of my son. They created the danger willfully. The two horrible Cleveland police officers should be indicted and charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy, and the cover-up of Tamir Rice's murder. Again, I don't know the law in that way, but certainly this resonates. This idea that they created the danger, as you've both pointed out, the gun is already on dude's lap. What you've already been told, it's a child with a toy gun, and yet you're rolling up on the scene as if there's already been, an adult warfare scene, described and shots fired. I mean, it's in any other setting than the one we're talking about, contextually the United States. This is insane. Ms. Rice continues. Go ahead. Somebody.
Well, I was just thinking of.
Yeah, please.
So you guys are a powerful platform for knowledge, and also, just you remind us of the realities maybe that every day you wake up you don't want to remember. But I wrote the small piece around Leadon Boykins, if that's how you say his name, and Charles Moore, because I was watching Black Power Media. See, I didn't misname you this time, Jared. And and it was really painful to listen to. But then you realize, to go back to what Deshaun Harrison said, the dispatchers told the police there were children in the car, and it made no difference. So whether the child appears or is not even on the scene is not relevant in their calculation of lethal force. And so being a child doesn't mean anything if you're Black. I mean, it means something to us and our communities and the communities that want to, be allies with us. But the state apparatus is an apparatus.
Yeah.
And so just like its military isn't going to work for us, why would its police forces work for us? If its FBI and CIA don't work for us, why would, why would the prosecutors work for us? And that doesn't mean that there aren't examples where we can say, oh, this is a victory, and that's in air quotes. But, so the feds, when they not persecute, but really prosecute the white men who persecuted and murdered Ahmaud Arbery, right? They have tweets. And so they can say, well, here's something tangible that we can add to another sentence already on top of his sentencing. But it's totally insufficient. It's not shaped by goodwill. It's not shaped by transparency. Again, I want to go back to Loretta Lynch. I mean, I believe, if I recall correctly, she held Eric Garner's case on her desk until after the election. I don't know if she thought that Clinton would win and then maybe they might do something about it. But no, she held on until, I believe, in January, and then she gave it to the Trump administration. Of course, they weren't going to have a federal prosecution of the NYPD. So in this kind of flow, what then are the strategies of resistance? And the first strategy to stop romanticizing legal intervention?
Yeah. And I would only want to just quickly add that in terms of voting for these two parties, it seems, so then we're to understand that we would have had to have hoped that Hillary Clinton would have been to the left of Joe Biden to get, to get, I don't know, a step towards something better. I hate to even say justice, but so, it just seems, I don't know. When I'm just thinking of that in terms of the dire situation that we're in, that we would have had to hope Hillary would have been somehow better than Joe. but anyway, just as Miss Rice, says here in this highlighted portion, I mean, I would want to again, and if necessary, I'll just pass the message here through the two of you. But I would have wanted to just, for whatever it's worth, to say to Miss Rice directly that it's, uh, I'm impressed, and I know I can only imagine how difficult the situation is, but I'm impressed, and personally, I enjoy to a certain extent the style of her response. That I get this impression every time I hear from her or see her that she's almost refusing what have to be direct or indirect invitations through some sort of PR campaign to soften her response or to be more polite or to whatever. But when she's writing like that, I mean, I can't think of. I mean, I don't know. I just I'm moved by the honesty and what has to be this righteous anger, this fury at the situation. And going back to what we were just talking about earlier, and even to this other, broader conversation about who we're supposed to elect and hope takes these offices. But Ms. Rice is again talking to, and I just dropped her name, to Clark, Ms. Clark, says that I believed that since you are a Black woman, you would do the right thing, but you are an ass kisser and a big disappointment to me as a Black woman. I would never want to be like you, and I hope our little Black girls will never be like you and fake ass Miss Kamala Harris. I feel sorry for you. All you people in power will meet Satan at the altar. Two Black women in power and unwilling to support the needs of Black people. What a damn shame. I mean, I happen to think this is exactly how people in those positions should be spoken to, if at all. Just in general, this reverence we're encouraged to have for them is undue. So anyway, I just appreciate her for doing that and maintaining this sort of approach. But it also reminds me, by the way, at a faculty meeting some years ago, where the discussion was initially about the role faculty were meant to play in policing the way young women and men dress in our classrooms, which has always made me uncomfortable. And as we were going around the table, I will say the women who were leading this meeting kept encouraging that examples for our students to aspire to were people like Condoleezza Rice, Susan Rice, Valerie Jarrett, and when it came around to me, I did say that I thought that was inappropriate, and and I didn't put it quite as well as Miss Rice here did, but I was saying I don't want certainly my daughters or our student body to mimic those or to seek out those women as standards for performance and behavior. And I think I actually said Asada Shakur should be. But anyway,
But I would, yeah,
please jump
I'm
in
sure
there.
your reference to the sister went over well.
Oh,
But
it went very well.
just like people are like, give me the t-shirt now. But I'm
Mm.
thinking, right? I'm trying to figure out how to think this in real time. I'm trying to think if anybody ever wrote something like that to Eric Holders, right?
Mm.
So I think there's multiple
Mm.
things going on in this frame. I don't know, Jared, like kicking if you think the case. I like there's so much about how we want to see Black people in power that a deference was due, particularly if we knew they had to face white supremacist intimidation, probably not the terror because they're working for the state, right? So they might be terrorizing other people, but they're Black
Mm.
too. And so it was always this kinship that we wanted to maintain, kind of like a seesaw. We were going to balance it off, right? But now it feels like it's tilted because just people have lost too many people and lost too many
Mm.
children. Right? And I've always said, like, so you inverted time, like your child is supposed to grow up and like, officiate at your ceremonial transition. You're not supposed to be like burying the child. The child buries the parent or the grandparent. And maybe this vulnerability is just pushed us like we're like every people too tired to do the manner thing. But also when you stop doing the manners, let's be real about this, or maybe I'm not real about this. you're going to lose a part of the liberal, you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
petty bourgeoisie or the bourgeoisie were like, oh, how dare you? Or if you do that, you just say it privately, like to go public and then to put it in print. Particularly, and this is the pushback that I think we have to deal with. People are talking about like the dishonor and denigration of women. But what happens when women do it against women? And I'm not saying that Samaria Rice did it against Clark, because Clark is embedded in the government. But perhaps Clark did it against Samaria Rice and her family. But we can't recognize it because once you enter government, right, you're just an extension of the state. And so it's not your personal thing. It's like they made me do it because it came with the job description. I wonder how we parse that out. I mean, do we want to claim folks to come back to the community? I don't think you can shame them because we don't have any real money. So it's just like, we can't help them build brands or career trajectories. But what's left? Is there anything left for reconnection? You get to call everybody out. Is there any possibility of reconnection?
Deshaun, you wanted I'm maybe not for a number of reasons I might not be the one to answer that. I struggle with forgiveness just in general. But yeah, I mean that go ahead.
No, I think George James, that's like it's a great question to ask. And I think I'm with you, Jared, a bit. I don't know if I'm the right person to answer either, but I also think, to an extent, I think that there is some room for reconnection, depending on the person, depending on the crimes, right? And I'm using crimes loosely, but I think that like there are people who are wholly committed to the harm that they cause. She's here. There are people. Miss Samaria, you're here.
Miss Rice, greetings to you. Thank you.
Hi, Miss
Yes,
Rice.
hello everybody. I'm so sorry. Oh God, I'm not phone savvy, okay? So, and computer, I'm not. So I had to switch to a different device, and okay, I'm here now.
Okay,
We appreciate
Can
it.
y'all hear me?
Yes.
You loud and clear. Everything sounds
Okay.
great.
All right. I don't know where the video is on here, but long as you all can hear me, I struggle.
That's fine. No, this is great. And again, welcome, and you're welcome here anytime. And I'll just take the privilege on the mic for now to repeat what I was just saying before you just got here, which is that I just wanted to thank you and encourage your style of response. We were just reading from your statement to Miss Clark, and I was guessing that I'm guessing, but I'm sure that on some level you have been encouraged in a variety of ways to adjust your tone or your response or how you speak publicly. And I just want to say, as one person, that I appreciate your approach and appreciate and support your style of response. And I identify with, if I can't ever fully understand the pain that is coming from. So thank you for that, and again, welcome. And that's basically where we were just now, more or less.
Okay. Well, thank you all for having me on again, and it's always a pleasure and a joy to be with Dayshawn and Dr. James. So thank you all for being on with me, and give a shout out to my brother Kalaji. Hey, Kalaji, is he around anywhere?
I don't know if he's
I
not
didn't know.
here, but he's always around, and I'll make
Yes,
sure he gets the
absolutely.
shout out
And
directly if
yourself
he's not in the
again.
chat.
Thank you again. Is it Will Mike? How do you pronounce it?
I mix what I like, but that's just I'm Jared. Jared Ball is my name. Jared
Jared,
is
okay.
fine.
Thank you. I
That's good
remember you
enough.
too as well.
No, right on.
So,
Thank you. And Kalanji is in the
yes,
chat apparently. So
okay. So yes, sir. Just you know, working with my attorney Jonathan Abney and Earl World and Zoe Solomon and Billy Mills. I wanted to have a conversation with Christian Clark in person in regards to reopening Tamir's case. Um, you know, we know that it was closed um, quietly and things like that, but they never really gave me an explanation. And these is the explanations of career prosecutors, um, basically saying that they had probable cause to convene a grand jury under the Trump administration, right? Because I've been through 3 administrations, right? So under the Trump administration, they had probable cause to convene a grand jury. They just break their own rules. They do not follow their own rules, and that was my first um my first inkling of, like, well, how are we going to get any justice in this country if they not even following their own rules?
Hmm.
And you talking about the whistleblower and career prosecutors that been in there um, for many, many years under different administrations, right? So if they find improbable cause to convene a grand jury and no one is responding, like William Barr at the top of the list, what are we supposed to do? So that was the first thing. And we I was they were not able to give me a conversation at that time, the Trump administration, with COVID and other things in place. I probably was out of town or whatever. And that meeting never happened with the Trump administration. But going into the Biden administration, with Christian Clark, we sent, I guess we was sending letters over there wanting to have that initial meeting that they left, that the Trump administration had left open. Because in these cases, when your case go to the federal level, like mines, they are supposed to have conversations with you, um just to keep you up to breast and to let you know what's going on, blow by blow, blow by blow and blow by blow. And that's what I was doing. I was keeping in contact. I was not just gonna let them say, oh, this is over with. You're gonna tell me why this is over with. This is a child. He's the youngest child in America that's documented. You're gonna give me a reason. You're gonna tell me why this is over with. So um when I decided to say, okay, well, maybe she'll reopen the case, it's a new administration is, and my attorneys was giving me some advice, say, well, okay, we're going to wait till the new administration come in, maybe they can reopen the case under the career prosecutors from the previous administration said it was probable cause. So hey, why not? I had just a little bit of hope. I had just a little bit more hope. I said, okay, be patient. Okay. So I ended up going to see her in October of last year, me and my attorneys. And again, she explained to me, um, you know, she had to sit her own child down and explain who Tamir Rice was. And Jonathan put up a big argument in regards to the statute 242, and how that you can you can't challenge it. You can challenge the statute, but will you? That's the question. It can be challenged, but will you? Just having those conversations with her. um Again, I was hearing a little bit what Dr. James was saying and Deshaun was saying about about her the culture, and her skin color and things like that. At the end of the day, they are put in a position to keep us oppressed, correct? To keep us oppressed. And I don't see no difference. Honestly, I don't see no difference when you be put in a political cesspool of a leadership, and you're supposed to be leading black folks to victory or some type of justice, and you look like me. You may even act like me from time to time, but you still ain't giving us no justice. So it's just a face to me. It's really just a face when they're in those political cesspool. And I will continue to call it a cesspool, because it's a cesspool of government, poor leadership, oppressing leadership, that runs this country, on top of the white supremacy that they keep pleasing, thinking that they're going to get higher up. You're never going to get higher up. They're never going to allow you to do anything in this country. Look how they did Obama. That should have been a prime example for everybody in the country. Just because he was the president, he still was not able to give us no type of justice. Even with the Trayvon Martin comment he did, Zimmerman is still walking around. Okay, and he is a civilian. So I don't want to hear all of that hogwash, that they talk, how they for the people and things like.
Uh-oh. Miss Rice, I think we got you cut off there for a second. Hopefully she can get back. But just quickly, as she was talking, I did note here that in the letter from Miss Clark to Miss Rice, I thought it was wild that it was thought to be important to highlight that by no means should you view the department's 2020 decision as an exoneration of Timothy Loehmann's actions. Sorry, Miss Rice, are you back?
Hello, I'm here.
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
Okay. Yeah. We lost you there for a second.
Did
So
y'all? I'm sorry, I'm just talking. Okay, I don't know what which y'all last thing y'all heard. I was talking about going back to the Christian Clark conversation.
Yeah, I was just highlighting here that in her response to you that she thought it was important to highlight or underline that you shouldn't be mistaken into thinking their decision not to follow through or to prosecute was not from them an exoneration of Loehmann's behavior, which I thought, yeah. Anyway, I thought that was. But please go ahead.
But what she was also telling me is that it's a hard statute, and Jonathan challenged her, or everybody challenged her, that said that you can do this. Everybody else is saying that you can do it. Will you? And then they got to talk about, well, we need a better statute. Well, I don't see nothing wrong with the statute we have. Y'all haven't even challenged it one time. But also, she also told me that the career prosecutors, now this is what she tells me, the career prosecutors know what they're doing. They've been here for a very long time. And, basically, the career prosecutors had all the experience to make a decision in the case and not to take it forward for whatever reason. It just really sound like a bunch of BS. I'm gonna be honest with you. It was sickening to even be there in the first place. But I still had to do it for my conscience, right? I had to make sure that I took it to the next level, and I'm still gonna take it to the next level. I'm not done yet. I just don't understand if she is supposed to be the attorney for us as Black people, or the district attorney, whatever she is. She's supposed to took my case to the Supreme Court. That's what she was supposed to do. But I have to find somebody to take it to the Supreme Court now, because it's definitely going to go.
Sorry. Yeah. So that's okay. I just wanted to confirm that that's what you see as your next step, is to try to get it to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, going to the Supreme Court under the people that's up there, and my thing is we have I have very little hope, just very little hope, but I still have to try, right? I still have to try, because the people that's up at the Supreme Court now, especially with the new lady that has just came in there, again, those are just faces. And then we have people that's in the Supreme Court that's racist and known to be racist. But at the end of the day, my son was lynched in America, and that was a lynching. And somebody has to be accountable for it. So we'll see, I have to just continue to work at it at the end of the day, and work with great people like Dr. James and Deshaun to, help me get to that next level, or whatever it may be. And the team that I'm working with at the Tamir Justice campaign, just I have to continue to work. So it's just a shame that I have to continue to do this like this when they could just easily indict Timothy Loehmann for the murder of my son. Murder charges never expire in
Hmm.
America. That's what we do know. But I don't know why they have to make it so hard. And with the laws, um I don't even know if the laws matter at this point, honestly, because it just seemed like they're going to continue to break their own rules. And that's what we've been seeing. They continue to break their own rules. They put rules in place, authority in place, and they don't even follow it themselves. So how we gonna even build a better America when they can't even follow their own rules? So at this point, everybody should be doing what they got to do for them, and keeping their self protected and safe. Know the laws to the best of your ability, because they are private citizens, right? They're private citizens. They serve a different master. They serve a different government and things like that. So we just have to be careful. They're uneducated, they're untrained, and they in our communities and stuff like that. So we just have to be careful across the United States when it comes to these corrupt officers and the corrupt laws and things like that, honestly. And
Can I,
that's what I'm learning. Go
if
ahead.
I can, I just have really one more question for myself, and then I'll invite
Hmm.
Dr. James and Deshawn to come back, jump back in. But I did want to go back to something I said at the beginning when you came on that I was
Hmm.
guessing about. And do you get people coming to you off the record or privately encouraging you to soften your approach? Is that something you've had? Is that part of your experience at all in terms of how you respond publicly or what you say? Or do you get people saying, you might be more effective if you approached it any differently?
Uh, sometimes, sometimes it be
Okay.
really sometimes I think for the most part my attorneys wanted me to kind of relax and calm down, but they kind of know who I am now, so I don't really be relaxing and calm down. I actually just say what I feel and really what it is. I mean, I'm not gonna lie about anything, that's for sure.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna always tell the truth. You know how you take your old auntie or somewhere to the party, like, oh, I can't take her nowhere. That's me.
That's
You
you.
can't take me nowhere because I'm gonna tell the truth. I'm not lying for nobody. I don't care what it is. That if I have to expose them, oh well, and I will continue to expose them, just like we did up in Cleveland, Ohio, when I ran everybody name through the mud, just like what I did with Black Lives Matter and the rest of them. I'm not gonna play these games with these people. We don't. These people came out of mid air, made millions and millions of dollars, and left the movement and didn't create no programs, didn't help nobody for real, and just kept it within their own network, and that's just not right. You know what I'm saying? So I said what I said, and I say it again. You know what I'm saying? My son ain't no hustle, and Black Death should never be a hustle. I don't understand how we don't have any justice, how we don't have no um facilities built for these corrupt, I'm sorry, I want to say a cuss word, these corrupt officers.
You're welcome to here, by the way.
Okay, these corrupt
Mhm.
ass officers to go in the jail by themselves. They don't have to go to the regular jails or whatever they have for civilians or whatever. Build their own jails and put their asses all together. Cause they all going be serving Satan at the end of the day. They not gonna come to the promised land with us. And they can go to church. You can go to the Catholic Church, the masses. You can go and pray to whatever God. But the God that I serve and most of us serve, you will not be on the other side in paradise with us. Know that. So that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps my faith is very strong. And I just keep going. I don't really doubt myself a lot of times. I just do what I have to do and keep going. And that's kind of how I've been succeeding. Like, you really have to have faith and do what you feel is right at the end of the day. Nobody can tell you how to do this. You have to just do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm the one that say, hey, I want to go have a march at the White House, a rally at the White. I'm the one said that, although um we didn't have a lot of people as I expected, because that was my first time out there doing a march at the White House. It was other organizations out there, which I didn't even, I wasn't aware, like the environmental people was out there, and then there was some vote people out there, and then the Tamir Rice Foundation, we were out there. So it was an experience and things like that. But we did what we had to do, for the most part. We did what we had to do.
I
Whether it was a
appreciate
little or big, whether it was a little or big, and Jamal Bowman was able to speak out there. I was able to also go over to the Black Caucus and meet um some of those some of them people over there, like Congress Betty and Congress Barbara Lee, and a few other Congress people, and basically that's just a show too. It's really just a dog and pony show, if you ask me. They're in the basement of the Capitol. I'm in there walking around with no shoes on. I had my socks on because you got to walk around, and I had on heels. I wasn't about to be walking around in all my heels like that. So I took my heels off. I had put on my socks, and I was walking around in the Capitol in the basement
Oh man.
with Barbara Lee and them. That's where they're one of their off.
Oh, Miss Rice, I think you're breaking up a little bit, and I hate that. Anyway, Miss Rice, I don't know if you can hear me, but you've broken up a little bit. Man, even a heathen like me got me ready to go to church on that one, boy. I was enjoying that one there. Dr. James, Deshawn, you want to jump in? Anything you want to respond to, add to? I don't know how much time you all have, but no rush over here. I'm just saying, anything you all want to.
I don't have any rush either, but I wanted to just say really quickly that one, this is why I love Samaria. And two, at Scalawag, our entire purpose is to disrupt dominant narratives, right? Specifically in the South, but in this case, just in general, to help move us towards liberation. So we were never going to silence her or ask her to change her approach, because I think that her approach is one that's necessary. I think that oftentimes we get lost in the academic jargon and the revolutionary jargon that we've associated with movement work. When you're trained in movement, when you've been actively involved in movement for a long time, you pick up certain language. But I appreciate the way that she approaches everything, and how honest and raw she is. So I'm glad that she gets to have spaces like these where she can just be herself, and that she chooses to be herself no matter what space she's in. I love that. But go ahead, James.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, so Jared's converted, and it's always nice to be in church, right? However you see it. I mean, for me, it's spirituality. It's prophetic.
I hear you.
Like when the prophets start to talk. Like Deshaun Harrison said, they're not going to package it after a focus group tells them what to say, right? And that's why Samaria Rice has power. But okay, so then what's I'm sorry, I'm going to annoy you with this one, maybe. So the collective power, right? So proving intent doesn't work because under white supremacy, white people are inherently innocent and we're, quote, inherently, guilty. So you have to change perception. I mean, there's just too much for intent to work in our favor unless this becomes an anti-racist state, which doesn't appear to happen anytime soon. So is there a way to think, are you back? Okay.
I'm back. Yeah, go ahead, Dr. James.
Okay, so is there a way to just point to consequences? Like the way in which Ms. Rice brings, the language which is in our culture, and that's why it resonates with us, and it's rich. It's not coming from the state. It's not coming from PR firms, right? Is there a way to approach the law and think again about Derek Bell's interest convergence, which is also part of Deshaun Harrison's critique, and I believe also Samaria Rice, on why the legal system doesn't inherently work for us. It's not designed for us. It's been said it's designed for whites. But if they ever ally, meaning the state, liberal whites, corporations, right, corporate money, it's because it's in their interest to align with us. Like things got way too out of hand, right? If you're going to choke George Floyd on the street for 8 minutes, then the money, it's like guilt money, but it's also buyout package money. So if we move from like emphasizing or focusing only on the rules that they tell us to focus on, which is prove intent, if we just say, well, the consequence is the funeral for the beloved that you killed. And so some of the attorneys I listen to are talking about ecological or ecological devastation. They're proving consequence because you can't always prove intent if you like poison the water or if you devastate a rainforest. So if nature gets to have a different legal bar, which is consequence, if you devastate a forest, if you poison the water, if you poison the air, you're responsible for the consequences of your actions that led to that. I don't care if you plan to kill the planet, you still did it, so you're responsible. Is there a way that in our language we can say, okay, we know you're supposed to have code intent, but we want to focus also on consequence, and somebody has to be responsible for whoever did the act that brought the tragedy?
Dr. James, let me just say something. I think at this point where we at in America, this system needs to be either destroyed, overthrown, or something. We are the new ancestors, including yourself and everybody that's living now. And we're just not going for that. Nobody wants to go back and forth politically correct. We don't have to be politically correct anymore. That's the way I feel. We do not have to be politically correct because we are losing our lives, and it's senseless how we're losing our lives. Senseless. So
Miss Right. No, sorry, go ahead.
I think we need to challenge the government and the collective people with minds that think alike, and develop some type of code of conduct for Black people. And we need to challenge well, not even Black people, Black and brown people. Let me say that, Black and brown people, and come together if we can, because we different type of people, right? We're different type of people, Dr. James, and I just think for the ones that's not like us, we need to protect ourselves and figure out what that looks like. Do I think it's going to be casualties of war? Probably so. But at this point where I'm at, I don't want to, I'm not going to keep talking to them. I'm going to talk to them maybe one last time if I do that, because my plans is to go to the Supreme Court. But if I can't get there, or if I don't know, I'm going to figure a different way out. Like, at the end of the day, no white person is going to keep telling me what to do. It is rules and regulations in the country, and I will follow them accordingly. But let you know, the FBI, the DEA, the CIA, they not living right either. And they're human beings too. And I'm a human being too. So you're not going to come hoovering over me. Whether it's the judge, the DA, the FBI, get out of my face. You're a human being. You're not the boss of me. God is my boss. And that's kind of how I see it. Just looking, and this is kind of off the record, even looking at what they did to Tupac, how they gave him everything to destroy himself. And that's, they did that. Sometimes people, he probably didn't understand what he inherited, or didn't understand how to handle the inheritance, right? People like me and you, we're different. We know how to handle it. So handling it, and conquering it will be a beautiful thing, and that's what I plan to do. And I hope a lot of people is thinking like me, because I'm just tired of them. I'm really sick and tired of white supremacy in this country, and and um and we have to continue to suffer. Like, it's not fair. It's not fair. And then we have some good, not even good. We have allies out here, right? And we have to be able to also work with them, because the country is made up of a rainbow. Okay, it's made up of a rainbow. So you got white, you got Asian, you got Latino, you got Black, and things like that. But when it comes to the white supremacy, we have to be able to decipher who's an ally and who's not. Let me just say that. And also in other cultures as well. I'm gonna say that too, because we got our own black people selling us out, right? They selling us out. Okay, we and even in some of the Asian community, and they selling each other out. They may be tight netted, but you can't find someone selling somebody out in their own race. So I just say that we need to come together, the ones that want to come together and figure out how we can live our life. Again, this ain't even our country, okay? This is the Indian, not the Indian. These are the people that was already here before Christopher Columbus was here. Remember that. So when they talk about going back to why don't y'all go back home? You turn around and say you need to go back home too, wherever that is, because you don't belong over here either. And that's what I say to that. Okay. Okay, that's what I say to
Miss
that.
Rice, you were compared earlier in the chat to Fannie Lou Hamer, and that definitely struck a chord, because she said something similar, if I remember, that the Italians, y'all go home, and the French, y'all go home, and
That's
the
right.
Irish, y'all go
That's
home. If
right.
you want me to go home, y'all go.
That's right. That's right, because this ain't even our land while they over here thinking like they done took this land over. This ain't even our land, sir. So everybody should go home that do not belong on this land. How about that? If they really want to get real with it, for real, like I said, this don't make no sense. So, but we here now, and we're on this land. We responsible for this land. Most of us are, to help build up this land. And a lot of us, guess what? A lot of us don't want to go nowhere. So guess what? We either go say, hey, y'all gonna give us this.
Uh-oh. I think that's the reaction right there. They
You
sure
see
had
what
the
I'm saying?
reaction shot.
What you say? I didn't hear
No,
you.
you got cut off again, so we were just having the reaction shot of saying, damn.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. What I was saying is I'm ready to build communities and developments for Black and brown people, that we have our own engineers, we have our own electricians, we have our own everything. Again, they need to give us half of the country. They need to go on about their business, and we go on about our business. That's how I see that. A new people's government at the end of the day, because the government that's in place right now is not working. And we can get our own police to police our own community. We don't need y'all police. We don't need y'all police. Y'all police need to stay where y'all at. Wherever that is at, y'all bringing all type of drugs in our community. We ain't got no boats and no airplanes. That's y'all that's bringing that shit over here in America and allowing it to come through. So I don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Us Black people and brown people, we're different creeds. We're different creatures out of life. And that's just what I know. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna go back and forth with them at the end of the day. I'm just not. I refuse to go back and forth with them. Christian Clark is lucky to even have a conversation with me. Just like, I'm not really lucky to have one. I think she owed me that. You know what I'm saying? You owe me a conversation at the end of the day. What is going on? So, my resilience, my relentless to the movement, and how I had to come into this movement, they came knocking on my door. So this is what they get, and this is what they created. That's how I feel, on top of what God has already created. Because I was really just minding my own business. I did not know to the extent of how I was asleep. And I was asleep, y'all. I was asleep while we were dying out here, and I did not know it. It had to take a tragedy for my son to wake me up, and God to put me in a position, and I will uphold that position. And it's no turning back at this point. It is what it is. They know me, and I know them. Hey, it is what it is. I'm sure all the government people know me, and I don't care nothing about them.
Wow, right on. Dr. James, Deshawn, any thoughts? Just quickly, one thing that came to my mind as you were talking, Miss Rice, was that I saw more coverage of this lately, but Larry Fink, who owns BlackRock, which is basically the owner of every company and institution in the country and around the world right now, he had put out a mandate I think it was last year, where he was telling people, saying like, we know you all need my investment money, but if you want it, you have to start presenting yourself as being more, to your point, Ms. Rice, politically correct. I need to see your company put, and I think Dr. James, you were speaking to this earlier too. I need to see your company put an LGBTQ person on the front of it. I need to see Black faces on the front of it. I need to see women in the front of whatever your enterprise is. Because we need, and I forgot what he's given these companies a score that there's a score they have to achieve to get his investment, which everybody around the world apparently basically needs right now, since again, he owns everything. And I think they're managing like $20 trillion in assets globally, something crazy like that. Maybe it's not quite that much. Maybe it's like half that, 9 or 10 trillion, but something crazy.
So
but when you said politically correct, my point in all that was that was the version of politically correct that we're being encouraged to. That phony, symbolic, just adjust your tone but not your message, which is again why I was so happy and I'm so encouraged by your tone and this refusal to be quote unquote politically correct, because you are challenging all of that. You're inviting all of us to challenge symbolic and nonsensical, claims to change, and saying no, it needs to be real or nothing at all. Anyway, so I appreciate that. That's all.
Thank you. No, thank you for that, Jerry. That makes sense. But one thing I do want to address, sometimes we do need people to think logic to think the logics through, right? The logistics through, right? Sometimes I can do it and sometimes I can't. So when I say build a code of conduct, just make sure we got real people that want to see the change and to be political correct within that, within that circle of building community and development. Because I heard what Dr. James say, we do have to think things through and things like that. Sometimes where I'm at, I don't be wanting to think things through. I just want to go up and slap up a couple people. That's just how I feel. But guess what? When I go slap a couple people up, I ain't going to take no job afterwards. Just know that. This is for real for me. This ain't no play. And I ain't no shade, but I'm not gonna play them games. I don't want your job. I want Black liberation and I want us to live. I don't give a fuck about no damn government job. I'ma just be honest with you. Just where I'm at. And then I'm gonna address this one last thing. When it comes to these people with all this money and everything, they should be ashamed of themselves. I don't even know how they sleep at night. And they know who I'm talking about. I ain't got to mention their names because I say their names all the time. Jay-Z's, the Beyoncé's, the Oprah Winfrey's, the Tyler Perry's. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all that damn brainwash. Y'all don't know no goddamn better. That y'all got all the money in the world and we don't even have a government. Man, what is going on? We should have a government for the people, not for them. Okay? I don't quite understand the dynamics of how you being a celebrity, you got paparazzi, you got fame, fortune, you got all this in the world, but you just it's like they allowing it, they encourage it, and like they saying it's okay. And that's what I just don't dig. I don't dig that. I'm not impressed with none of them celebrities. I don't care nothing about them. At the end of the day, my son was murdered and everybody's seen it in the world. And if they didn't see it, they better go Google it. And that was definitely unjustified for a child, for anybody. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't have no understanding with that. And then all of the murders that has happened, unjustifiable, everything that has happened in the world, nobody's speaking up on it. So I would never have that type of respect for them. I don't care nothing about them. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, that don't mean.
Damn, Miss Rice, they got you again. Deshaun, Dr. James, is there anything you want to come back with in the interim? And we will hopefully get Miss Rice back on.
There was something that you said earlier, Jared, and I wish I could remember the exact words, but I think that there is just something particular about the ways that government is responding to Samaria in particular, right? Like, I think that we've witnessed over the years several different families who have had to bear the brunt of the government's weight, and all the weight they'll put behind standing on justifying murdering us. And she has shown that, like, yeah, y'all got all this weight, but I got weight too, right? And they hit her with some real serious shit because of that. And I think that there's just something like George James was saying earlier, there's something about that makes her powerful. She holds a particular level of power, of course, not in the same vein as the U.S. government. That's a whole machine, but she holds a certain level of power because of the ways that she approaches this work, and because of how she chooses to show up.
Oh,
And
I'm sorry.
why. And there she
Hey,
is.
y'all. Oh, y'all can
Hey,
see me now.
now he can see you now
Now,
too. Right on.
Okay. Yeah. I don't even know where I was cut off at, but I was just talking about how the entertainers and
Just that they
celebrities,
can't
like,
buy you off. You don't want their
no, they
job.
can't. I can't be, it ain't even about that. It's like they're not leaders. They're here to entertain. And I can't take them serious at the end of the day, because it's like they're allowing us to get murdered. It's like they don't want to speak up about it. It's like, okay, if it had never happened to your child, that's fine, because you built, you got a community. You live in a gated community, or you might not. You live in a nice community. Everybody not fortunate for that. For the simple fact, like, I felt LeBron James should have really said something about my son by you having two black boys, but you turn around, oh, you can't say nothing about it. So how can I take you serious? You're an entertainer, and I look at you as that. That's it. I look at you like an entertainer. I look at you like the white people look at you. How about that?
Mm,
At the end of the day, and that's
mm.
just real talk. That's for any entertainer. You know what I'm saying? And we know we got some business people out there, like, Jay-Z and Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson. Now, we know them business, but I still look at them like entertainers, because you're still not speaking up for what's going on in our communities. And, we helped you get to where you go. Remember, we was the ones out there buying your CDs and going to your concerts along with the white people. Okay. At the end of the day,
Miss
who
Rice, don't
who
forget
gonna
those
save us?
$250 tennis shoes we were buying too. Don't forget the
Oh yeah. Oh,
$250
okay.
pairs of
We do
tennis shoes. Thank you.
$150.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We the one got you where you at. Okay. But you don't even say, who gonna save us at the end of the day?
Mm.
That's all I'm saying. Who gonna save us? So I've been put in a position by God to say what I need to say and do what I need to say. Or do what I need to do and say what I need to say. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, like, who gonna save us? While you building prisons, you and Jay-Z building prisons and stuff, y'all should have gathered and got the money and build a prison for some of these police officers. I'm only gonna talk real shit. I don't have time to waste. My time is valuable. I don't have time to waste no time. I'm just gonna tell it like it is. Again, they're not leaders, and again, it's political game, and they puppets and all type of stuff. And I just choose not to be bothered with all of that. I'll be honest with you. When you're a tropical person, a person of God, you find your mind creates other entities where you don't just let that stuff suck it up out of you. You know what I'm saying? So, I would never look at them as leaders. They're entertainers, and that goes for anybody that's in a celebrity position, and you can't even help us. You can't even help us get a law to say cease fire on black and brown people. What? You can't help us get a law to say cease fire on black and brown people, Jay-Z, Beyonce? Y'all can't do that, huh? Cease fire on black and brown people. We want to live too. So, until they can have that conversation with me, they not no leader. They not leaders. They not. So I just wanted to put that out there. You know, it's just amazing how the boulets, I call them boulets of the world, the boulets of the world. Yeah, you go, you pledge a fraternity, and you do all this, you go to college, and you say you want to make change in your community, and it never really happens. You know what I'm saying? You have to work with the people in order to make change, and don't just, send no money down there. You have to really get down in the streets and work with the people in order for this change to happen. You know, we've been oppressed for so long by the oppressor. A lot of us is comfortable. A lot of us is scared. A lot of us don't even know what to do. But when you get in the trenches and work with people hand by hand, you will see the magic happen. And that's what I've been doing in Cleveland, Ohio. That's why we was able to get issue 24, which is civilian oversight. And we're still you know, we have a federal, we got the federal government coming in for a hearing on the 17th at the DOJ. I mean, the DOJ is coming in to Cleveland at the federal courthouse with Judge Solomon Oliver to make sure that implementation get in there, you know. And a lot of our, guess what, y'all? A lot of our police officers quit. Yeah, take your ass back to your white community because you ain't got no business over here. I'm sure you did quit because you don't want to be accountable for maybe trying to kill other Black lives. I'm sure you don't. I'm sure you don't. So I encourage everybody to try to get a civilian oversight in your urban community across. It's a lot of them been implemented, you know, across. I don't know what each city got going on, but in Cleveland, since the DOJ been there 4 times, meaning that they had to go in and babysit and clean it up because of all of the excessive murders and police practice and pattern of killings and cover up and conspiracies. Cleveland, Ohio is not no joke. I'm gonna just let y'all know it's not a joke. They have a report where they put out 100 years of corruption. Okay. I can't make it up. I can share the report with y'all though. 100 years of corruption. Okay, it's a lot of people that corrupt the city of Cleveland, and it's predominantly Black, y'all. Predominantly Black. There's no reason why we should be corrupt, but that's okay because I told them if I ever get back to Cleveland, I'm gonna run for the mayor position. I'll clean it up, and guess what? When we have the right things going on in that city, if I gotta be over there, that's for sure.
You know,
well, we would love to help you with that campaign.
If
We
I
would
go.
love to help support that campaign. Deshaun, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I just wanted to say, you know, I've lived in Atlanta now for almost a decade, and Atlanta has had a Black mayor for over 50 years, right? You know, we have had Black police chiefs. Our current police chief is a Black man, right? We have had a predominantly Black city council, right? And yet Atlanta is one of the largest hubs right now of gentrification, right? Where our hoods, our historically Black neighborhoods have been and are being heavily gentrified, right? Our politicians have actively worked on the side of the state, right? Have actively erred on the side of policies implemented by white folks and white supremacists, right, to uphold this anti-Black structure called the world, called the city, whatever you want to refer to it as. And I think that there's something important about what Samaria has named in her piece of the essay and what all of us talk about in the overall essay, which is that there is no power, right, for Black folks in having Black faces sit at the seat of or be the face of what George James would call, you know, the state apparatus. There is no power in that for us, and there's it. What it seeks to do is sort of placate or quail our interest in revolution, right? So that because we see Black folks sitting in power. So it's like, oh, well, if we have this Kristen Clark sitting up here as the assistant attorney general, or if we have, you know, Kasim Reed or Keisha Lance Bottoms as Atlanta mayor, or if we have, you know, a Black person operating as president, right, Barack Obama, then there's no need for us to have revolution because we've already won. But the reality is that these people seek to operate under the same rules, under the same policies, under the same legislation that every other person has operated under. And I think Atlanta is just a perfect example of what that looks like, precisely because we have witnessed it for over 50 years in this city. And so I just love what you just said, Samaria, about the fact that, you know, Cleveland being predominantly Black, right? Like that doesn't change the fact that so much of what we're affected by is the very same structure. Somebody said neocolonialism. That's exactly what it is. It's neocolonialism. It's this process that requires it. It is this anti-Black capitalism, right? That is sustained by our continued interest or investment in the system, in the structure, and I think that we have to honor that and realize that by seeking to be a part of this structure, or by seeking to have a more active role, or be more actively participated in this role, or participating in this role, we only help to sustain this structure, and the ways that it helps to further oppress us in the world.
Miss Rice, by the way, just quickly, thank you for that, Deshaun. I just want to confirm that this is your Cash App, Miss Rice. Can you see the screen? And then,
Oh
what we
yeah,
will,
it's my first and last name. Yeah, it's
okay,
fine. Is Dr. James
because
still on here?
yeah, I think so. But
Yes,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm still here. I just want to echo a couple of things. I think in the chat it said all Black communities are occupied, truth. And Samaria Rice wrote in their statement, train your family. And that should just be coda or gospel. So I appreciate like your leadership and your beauty. I mean, because and there's got to be weight that comes with the kind of leadership that Samaria Rice offers, right? Because it's not like, people are going to send you flowers and invite you to sit at the round table for another nonprofit benefit breakfast. But I think however we do it, and I know we're doing it, and I'm practicing to do more, we need to protect our leaders. So thanks, Molly, for putting the Cash App out. But the ones both outside and inside, right? They're still being held as political prisoners. And a couple of things that I'm just going to take away, and then I'll stop talking. I think I'm going to echo Samaria. We need to move towards autonomy while we're figuring out accountability. Because there's nothing here. I mean, we're here, but there's nothing here that is nourishing, and there's too much here that's lethal. It's like they planted IEDs everywhere, right? So it's just we've got to think about autonomy, which comes out in the Scalawag piece a lot, and perhaps like I'm thinking in the process, as we keep the revolutionary love that Samaria embodies, along with Deshaun and along with Jared, we may, at least what I'm trying to figure out is how we can remove ourselves from the equation of genocidal logic. Because they wrote an equation that put us right in the middle, like as a target. And we have to drop out of the equation.
Yeah.
And I know we do it in different ways.
No, I definitely agree with that, because it's like we got too comfortable, and we got real comfortable, and maybe we didn't have a choice from our ancestors and things like that. But now, being the new generation and just trying to live, survive out here, we want to live. So no, I agree with you. Definitely. Yeah.
Well, Miss Rice, Dr. James, Deshaun, I really appreciate you all coming on here. You are all welcome at any time. Miss Rice, what I'm going to commit to at a minimum is we will track what it won't be much, but what little revenue is generated on this video, and we'll send it to you via your Cash App or your foundation, and continue. If you run for mayor, please add us to your media team.
Yeah, I will. I'm gonna think about it, y'all.
And anything else, you're always welcome.
I don't really know. I said if I have to, I will.
I'm just saying if you do.
Yeah. But I don't really want to be in a political position, honestly. I really want to serve the people and wake up the masses and train them, love them, and show them, this is what we got to do to survive. Just like Dr. James said, we have to like get away from them. We have to separate at the end of the day, because, we want to live, and it just seems like, trying to compromise with them, we gonna lose anyway. So why not separate and develop our own? And that's just kind of where I'm at when I say, let's talk about building development community.
Deshaun, do you want to say anything real quick? As I think, wait. Miss Rice, sorry, we lost you there for a second.
Oh,
We missed
okay.
the last piece of what you just said.
Okay, I think I was just saying, just ready to, like Dr. James said, we have to get away from them and we have to build and develop our communities. We have to teach our community to love and, to love and to take care of our own, We got to educate them. That's kind of basically what I said. That's all.
Right on. Well, we
Yeah.
definitely appreciate you and support you. And like I said, anytime you're welcome here, obviously,
Thank you.
Kalanji, you're welcome here as well. So
I
peace
know,
to you, Miss Rice.
Kalani.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Kalanji,
Thank y'all for
you all
having me.
seem
I
built for each
appreciate
other.
y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate it. Is Dr. James have anything else you want to say?
I'm sending you my love. That's my last words.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Deshaun, you have anything you want to say?
Likewise, sending you all my love. Same to you, George James and Jared. Thank you all for having me. And also, Samaria, thank you for all that you do and for writing this piece with us. It's amazing. So I love you and I appreciate you.
I love y'all too. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for having me. Okay. Y'all get with me. Okay. We get back together. All right. Peace. Okay. Bye-bye.
Peace. Thank you very much. Thanks to all of you. Really appreciate you. And to all of you in the chat, we appreciate you as well. I will make sure whatever revenue is generated from this video gets to Miss Rice in support of it as well. We'll just add a little bit. Anyway, really appreciate you, Deshaun, Dr. James. You're always welcome here, of course. And thank you very much for putting this together and putting that piece together. Thank you.
Right. Stay well, all.
Likewise, everybody. All right, like Fred said to you, we say peace because we know you're willing to fight for it. So thanks, everybody. Catch you next time. I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.